Hello everyone! This video is a tutorial for how to make a 3-print series of linoleum relief prints. This tutorial includes what you will need, how to trace an image onto your linoleum, proper carving techniques, proper ink rolling techniques, printing techniques, and how to label your prints. Let's begin. First, let's talk about the materials you will need. You will need a set of linoleum carving tools. The brand is unimportant as long as the packaging says for linoleum carving. Next, you will need a flat linoleum sheet with an unmounted back. In other words, the sheet of linoleum should be about 1/4 inches thick. Next, you will need a thick, sturdy paper, aka no copy paper. For this demonstration, I'm using cardstock. Next, you will need your tools for printing. These include water-based inks, scrapers, brayers, and a dirty towel to help you clean up when you're done. Some helpful extra tools include pencils, paper towels, hand soap, painter's tape, etc. These are all the tools you will need to make a set of prints. Now that we've covered the necessities, let's move on to the process itself. The first step you are going to do is to transfer your drawing or image onto your sheet of linoleum. This can be done in several ways, but I'll show you my favorite way to do it. First, take the image you're going to trace and flip it over. Then, take a pencil or piece of charcoal and cover the backside of your paper. After covering the backside of the paper, flip it over again so your image is facing you. Using tape, place your lead-coated image onto your linoleum sheet where you'd like it. After securing the image onto your linoleum, use a pencil and trace the lines. Make sure to bear down with medium force to make the lines show up, but be careful of digging too hard into the linoleum. If you dig too hard, it may show up in your final prints. Remove your image when you are done tracing, and now you've transferred the image onto your linoleum. We are ready to carve. Here are some important safety tips for when you are carving. When you are carving, never place your empty hand in front of where you are carving. This will easily result in a cut. Additionally, never carve towards your body. This gives you less control and can also end in injury. These are sharp tools and should be handled with care at all times. Another helpful tip to remember when you're carving is that when you are carving, you're creating negative white space on your print. Whatever you leave behind is what will show up on your final prints. This is an important concept in printmaking. Make sure to experiment with this. As you can see in this sped up video, I'm carefully carving around my image in order to leave behind what I'd like in my prints. Even the smallest detail will show up, so I am being very careful. This is what my linoleum sheet looks like after I finish carving. Now we can prepare to make prints. Your next step will be sizing your paper down, as well as creating a guide for your prints to ensure that they are all placed the same way. This is how to size your paper. You should leave 1 inch of space at the top, 1 inch of space on the left, 1 inch of space on the right, and 2 inches of space at the bottom. These 2 inches of space at the bottom are important in order to leave room for your labeling. Most professional printmakers tear their edges instead of cutting them, but for this project, we are simply going to cut the edges with scissors or an X-Acto knife. Now, we are going to create a reference sheet to ensure all of our prints are placed in the exact same way. First, trace your sized paper onto another larger sheet of paper. Now, draw a line horizontally 2 inches up from the bottom of the page, 2 lines vertical, 1 inch from the left and 1 inch from the right, and finally, another horizontal line 1 inch from the top. Now that we've completed our reference sheet, we can move on to inking our plates for printing. Bring your paper, reference sheet, linoleum plate, water-based printing inks, a scraper, and a brayer to the printing station. Leave your papers out of the way for now. I am going to demonstrate how to properly ink your plate. First, take a scraper and dip into the color you'd like. Do not do this with a scooping motion, but rather with a circular scraping motion. Remember, a little ink goes a very long way. Next, scrape your ink down onto the glass tabletop. We are going to repeatedly smush and scrape our ink in order to warm it up. Now, we will take a brayer and dip it into our pool of ink. Below our pool of ink, we are going to start rolling it out in a downward motion. Notice how I'm picking my brayer up every time I take it back to the start and rolling it down towards me. When the brayer is ready, this rolling motion should make a shh sound. If there is no sound, you need to add more ink. If the sound is very loud and thick, there's too much ink on your brayer and you should wipe some off. This is what your brayer should look and sound like. Now, we are going to take our plate and roll an even layer of ink onto it. Watch as I am covering every spot on my linoleum, taking care to make sure it is even. This is exactly what we are looking for, an even coat of ink that is not too thick and not too thin. Let's begin hand printing. Take your linoleum plate and place it in the middle of your reference sheet. Next, take a sheet of your sized thick paper. Make sure your hands are perfectly clean to ensure no accidental ink transfer. Take your paper and line it up the best you can with the lines on the reference sheet. Make sure not to accidentally touch the plate with your paper before you're ready. When you've lined up your paper, place it gently onto your inked plate of linoleum. Now, we are going to hand press every square inch of this piece of paper. Press down hard in circular motions. Make sure you've pressed down on the corners and edges as well. They are easy to miss. When you're sure you've covered every spot, gently lift your paper up from the linoleum sheet and flip it over. There you have it! You've created a linoleum relief print. But we are not done yet. We need to properly label it. When we label our prints, we put the edition number in the bottom left, the title of our piece in the bottom middle, and our signature in the bottom right. If you're making 3 total prints like I am, this first edition will be labeled 1 out of 3. If this were the second print, it would be labeled 2 out of 3. The title can be whatever you feel, however, it has to stay the same for all of the editions. Make sure it's a good one. Your signature can be whatever you'd like as well. This is mine. And there we have it. We've completed the first edition of the 3-print series. Now we have to do it 2 more times. By the end, this is what your final series will look like. 3 clean, completed prints, all labeled and organized. After you finish, make sure to clean up the ink with water and a dirty towel. Additionally, ensure the lids to the inks are screwed on tightly, and you wash off your brayer and scraper with water. Dry them as well to prevent rust. This has been a tutorial on how to make a series of linoleum relief prints with water-based inks. Happy printmaking!